Last I knew, you were at 10 million in 10 months. Is that right, ARR?
Yeah,
Which is now what, 16 million in 12 months?
slightly, around that.
And now you're growing at what pace?
Doing about $1 million a week now.
Mind blowing. And I think the best part of this is that he's done it all bootstrap outbound. Outbound is something people feel has stopped working.
I think for me, outbound is the only thing that has ever worked, right? I mean, I don't know of any other channel that works as well as outbound. And if you do it well, I think outbound beats all other channels by at least 10x. It's not really very difficult to get your first 100, 200 customers just on this. A lot of our customers started abusing us, saying, what a shit product you guys have built, why we built this, nothing is delivering.
Welcome to Edbound with Kenner, Alan. It's such a pleasure and an honor to have you. I've been a fan. I mean, what you've done, there are so few companies around the world that are able to get to the point where you've got. Last I knew, you were at 10 million in 10 months. Is that right, ARR?
Yeah,
Which is now what, 16 million in 12 months?
slightly, around that.
And now you're growing at what pace?
Doing about $1 million a week now.
Mind blowing. And I think the best part of this is that he's done it all bootstrapped, following a playbook that seems like magic to people. Outbound. Outbound is something people feel has stopped working. And I think I could easily call you the wizard of outbound because, that's what the result looks like.
That's too kind of you, but I think enough people doing great stuff at outbound. I think outbound is basically knowing who your audience is, who your buyers is, and I think rest follows. You just have a set of things to do right, and understand your buyers well, and that's it. I don't think there's any more rocket science to it.
I mean, that's being too humble. I'm going to open the playbook step by step because that's what I would want for our listeners to really do. And I think you just don't have one single product, it's a suite of products. And I think the best part of what our conversation surfaced is that you are solving every single piece that people would encounter to build their GTM stack. So let's just hear about all the products that you are working on right now. And the biggest hit is, I believe, the max out of your stable is Zapmail as the revenue, right?
Zapmail has been one of the older products.
Okay.
Reachinbox and Zapmail, of course, have been the older products. Zapmail is the infra layer, which helps you set up the right kind of mailboxes, right kind of DNS records, right kind of domains, right kind of forwarding, all of that stuff that you would normally want. And of course, Reachinbox is a sequencer, which helps you kind of put this together, kind of.
So that's an alternate to, let's say, an Instantly or a...
Yeah, something like that. Of course, it's in the similar line, which helps you kind of find the right leads, hyper-personalize the outreach to these leads, verify these leads, and start sending out based on a set schedule.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what it does. So these are the older products. Of course, I started off with Reachinbox initially in December 23 to kind of solve for the hyper personalization, because that was a pain problem that we wanted to solve, and we didn't find any tool that was doing that. Once we solved that, and once we kind of went to market with that, we realized that a lot of our customers started abusing us, saying, what a shit product you guys have built, why we built this, nothing is delivering. And I was surprised because it's working so well for us. It's working amazingly well for us. We had at that point crossed about $1 million in revenue already in 4 months in Reachinbox, and I said, "Wow, why is it working for us and not for you?" And then when I started auditing a lot of our customers, what we realized was the infra was broken. People are using SMTP emails. People are using emails that were not set up properly. Most of them didn't have DKIM records. Most of them didn't have the right kind of DNS in place. And I said, wow, this is an opportunity to solve, because while you have a lot of sequences, while you have nobody has actually built the right kind of email infra platform, and especially for cold emailing. And there was no platform globally which was doing this at all. And we set out to solve it, but there were several challenges, right? How do you set it up? How do you kind of do this? What are the kind of APIs that you have? How do you kind of build it out in the right way? So of course we kind of put that together, and in June, around mid-June of 24 is when we launched Zapmail as a cold email infra company, which kind of plugged into all the sequences globally, right? Instantly, smartly, Reachinbox. We didn't restrict our users, saying, okay, you have to only use our products and so on. We said, okay, this is an email infra company. It will plug into any of the cold outreach platforms, and that's how we kind of got started.
Wow. Outbound, I mean, before I start opening the playbook, and that's what the goal would be, but let's just go back 30,000 feet. Why did you think of outbound? I mean, people usually just give up on the Outbound entire thought because they hear so low open rates, it's hard work, it doesn't work. What was your reason?
I think for me, outbound is the only thing that has ever worked, right? I mean, I don't know of any other channel that works as well as outbound because, especially as a bootstrap founder, I mean, this is probably my 17th year as an entrepreneur.
And how many startups has that been?
It's been 5 startups.
5 startups. Okay.
And technically 6 startups. The first startup was not registered properly, so I wouldn't call it a startup per
Okay.
se. But the only way for a bootstrapped entrepreneur, in my opinion, to acquire customers in the lowest possible CAC would be outbound. And if you do it well, I think outbound beats all other channels by at least 10x.
Oh,
Right. So I think that's what I have seen. I first started doing outbound probably in 2010 when I was trying to get partnerships for my SMS product that I had built because there were no users. Nobody wanted my product. And I said, okay, there has to be something. I mean, I had built, so my first product was called Text Browser. It was like ChatGPT on SMS. You could ask anything on SMS because India didn't have internet. I said, okay, why don't we build something where you can quickly ask, like, okay, how do I make biryani? Or, so we used to get queries like, what explains circulatory system of a pigeon? This was one of the queries that we got on SMS, right? So people were using it for education and so on. But I saw that, we were at 500 queries a day, 400 queries a day, and we should charge 1.5 rupees per search. We were like, we wanted to figure out how do we kind of increase this? And the only way we could do that was to partners, right? To distribution partners, to marketing partners. And all of that I got through outbound, right?
wow.
This was 2010. And because for me, outbound necessarily is not automation, right? Outbound is outreach to a lead list that that you feel are your potential buyer.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing it manually, that is still outbound.
Hmm.
At scale, then you need automation. But even when you see sales guys just writing, copying, pasting the same email, that's still outbound. Or when they even write a personalized email to a list, which is not a warm list, it's a cold list, that is still outbound.
Yeah.
Right. So those days, there was no sequencer, of course. There was no automation, of course. So I would put this message on LinkedIn. I think I spammed people on LinkedIn those days saying, okay, I'm looking for partnerships. And I would just do this manually. I would do this email also manually till we found, okay, how do we kind of automate this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, it was not a very modern sequencer because we would just automate, without time gaps and all of that. That used to work in 2010. Today, you try to do that, your mail accounts get banned in less than a minute. But this is what we did, and ended up getting a partnership with Spice.
Oh, at Spice Telecom.
So at Spice Telecom, using
Wow.
outbound back in 2010, there's this guy who's VP of products that time, and he said he was surprised, like, "Wow, this is the first time I'm getting this message, kind of a thing." And he replied to me, and that was how I started off. Of course, we kind of had a lot more um, messages and a lot more partners who came in through outbound after that. But this was my first success in outbound, and I said, "Wow, this channel works.
Yeah.
Now I need to double down on this." After that, when I built Free Paisa, which was an app discovery platform, again, no customers because I had no clue of how to find um, people who are interested in app advertisement, right? Who wants app installs? And I was thinking about it. Who's most likely would want app installs is people who have apps. This was 2013. And what we did was I asked my team saying, okay, why don't you scrape Google Play Store? There seems to be some email IDs there. Why don't we get the email IDs of all the app developers? Google Play Store didn't have any scraping restrictions those days. And we got a list of, I think, 50,000 apps that were there on the Indian Play Store. We used, I think, there was no way to do automation again, but then we kind of used a node, no, PHP mailer. We built a thing on PHP mailer saying just send out emails to these guys through SendGrid as SMTP. And we got responses from Myntra, Flipkart, Oyo. I mean, name any top app in India, all of them advertised through us after that.
Wow. How big the company grew?
The company grew to a little over, 10 million monthly active users.
Wow.
And of course, we were at that one point, we were driving more than 1 million installs for our advertisers every month. So that's where we were.
Yeah. So this has been the channel that's always worked. I see the logic. I mean, a lot of investors hint towards it that if you burn money for a acquisition, it's eventually an engine that's not going to sustain. So find ways where your CAC's kind of zero, or you just invest in infra. Now let's fast forward. We are in 25, right? I mean, cold email is frowned upon by every provider. Mailchimp, HubSpot, Salesforce, all the big ones would say totally no. There's an opt-in to say the guy who you're sending a mail to has opted in. So it's a separate science. Now let's open the playbook step by step. What are the fundamentals looking like? I know that you need to think at scale now, but let's hear it from you step by step. Let's talk as if you're telling to someone who's never built it, because I think God is in the details here. A lot of people don't get the micro steps right and they fail.
Absolutely. I think a very beautiful point that you put across was Mailchimp, HubSpot, all of these guys are against cold emailing because they're not meant for cold emailing. Their platforms are meant for marketing. You send out emails to a warm list, to your customers, to your subscribers. They don't want you to use and abuse their platform for cold emailing, because when you send that out to a customer, to a person who's not your customer, who's not expecting an email, that's an abuse of their platform, and that's not what it's meant for. And that's why. So it's very important to understand the difference between transactional email service like a SendGrid or a Amazon SES, and email provider like a Google or a Microsoft. And so essentially, cold emailing is about how you would, like I said earlier, it's about sending an email as you would take one step back. Forget automation, forget scale, forget everything. You want customers. What do? You think that, okay, I'm starting a business today. Let's say I'm starting a law practice. Let's say I'm a startup lawyer. I'm a corporate lawyer. I want customers. I will find the list of all possible startups who are at a seed stage and doing well probably and looking to raise their next round. And I'd probably want to write to them saying, hey, Kinner, I see that your startup is doing extremely well. Congratulations on your growth.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm so and so. I run this law firm. Would be happy to connect.
Yes.
I would ideally do this for 50 people, right? 60 people.
Yes.
Manually. Now, this is actually cold emailing.
Yeah, cold emailing.
This is
And the step I would take to do something like that, and I think you've touched upon a very important point, is the first identification of the potential customer.
Correct.
Am I going after a startup? Am I going after people who are in divorce cases, criminal lawsuits?
Absolutely. Not spray and pray.
Yeah.
You're going after a person who has intent. So,
and one of your products solves that particular problem, identifying the audience, or do we need to look at something like an Apollo or a sales navigator to solve that first step?
Yeah, we don't have a product in-house which solves this, because there are some amazing companies out there like Clay, Bitscale. These are companies that are already working on the intent identification.
Question here, and I'm going to keep peeling the layers of comments here. When you talk about Clay, a lot of people and almost everybody who came here, at SaaS Boomi, spoke about Apollo and Sales Navigator as the solution to look for your ICP lookalikes or data. Now, you named Clay, not Apollo, not Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? Why?
Of course. I mean, I think you also need to understand that having a data is one thing. Understanding their intent is a different thing altogether. Apollo Sales Navigator gives you a data list of people who might be your ICP. Are they looking for your service? Do they have an intent for your service? Are they the right fit for you today? That is not identified by Apollo or Sales Navigator, right? What Clay does is it helps you identify by figuring out signals. Okay, what signals are there? Have they raised a Series A round? Have they been in news recently? Do they qualify as a company for what I am doing?
Yeah.
Right? Basically trying to identify the right signals on that audience and trying to further qualify. So your first step is getting data from Apollo, maybe.
So you're saying, I mean, Clay also has data providers, inserted inside it, right?
Exactly. I would say that just use
Clay
to simplify it. Yeah.
Let's open it up for the lawyer, because you named a lawyer. I think it's a brilliant profile. So the lawyer goes in with the mindset of finding the startup founders.
I would want to come back on that thing. So which is, initially I told you that a lawyer would do it manually. Now for that lawyer to say, okay, 50 is okay. If he has to sit and do this 50, it has now taken more than 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours of his day. Because he's researching, finding all of this. The process of automating this entire thing is actually what Outbound is, right? Wherein he tries to save his time by utilizing tools that kind of do this for him. Then now he's actually sending from his mailbox, from his own Google mailbox or a Microsoft mailbox to the recipient.
Yes.
Now, if he has to do outbound at scale, he cannot do it from his mailbox because then his mailbox could get flagged very quickly. So what he would do is he would then set up adjacent domains and adjacent mailboxes, right? For which a product like Zapmail would kind of help him buy these domains. So if the lawyer's website was abclawyers.com, and he puts that on Zapmail, Zapmail will suggest that try abclawyers.com, abclawyershq.com, the adjacent domain list that would come. He would then maybe buy 10 domains like this. Zapmail suggests that you set up 3 mailboxes per domain. So now he has 30 mailboxes that are set up. He then connects it to a sequencer like a Reachinbox or Instantly or a Smartly, and he kind of puts it out there, he connects his mailboxes there, and then he uses a tool like Clay, and he goes there and says, okay, I'm looking for this kind of people, right? This is the audience that I'm looking for. This is the intent that I'm looking for. Help me find a list.
And qualify them. The people who don't understand Clay tables, I think it's a brilliant product, one of my favorite. So the first table would be the name of people based on your input, and the second one could be, are they the right size, 1 to 10 people or intent signals as you're speaking. But I like you're saying Clay. One of the reasons a lot of people don't do Clay is because the starting tier is $136 a month.
Absolutely. I think that's why I also mentioned Bitscale, and there are some other companies that are doing some amazing stuff. Freckle is also doing something in the same space.
Do you suggest Bitscale, Freckle to solve this problem?
I still suggest Clay, but then also there are alternatives like Bitscale and Freckle, which also solve these problems. You need to figure out what fits your business the best. It's always value versus features that work best, and it varies for the stage of your business. So that's why I wouldn't say that, okay, you go with this provider, go with this provider, but
makes sense. No, I think I kind of like what you mentioned so far. Set up 30 mailboxes, find the data, and then Clay could connect back to, Smart Lead or, Reachinbox or Instantly. And then we could be firing a mail from those 30 domains. And how much should be the number? Like, what's the number you're suggesting? And I think we're missing a few steps. When we are setting up, there are things like DKIM, SPF, all of that's taken care of by Zapmail. So I think that's a huge relief. What is the cost that somebody is looking at? And before I go to the next step, I think this is an important one. What is somebody looking at for this 30 inbox infra on Zapmail?
So Zapmail would cost you about $99 a month for 30 mailboxes.
Reachinbox is going to be another.
Reachinbox would be about another $39 a month.
39 for these 30 inboxes.
Yes.
And you take care of all the steps that we need to take care of.
Absolutely.
Now, what is the number of email, like daily email messages that we should be firing?
I think one step that we've also missed is possibly the warm-ups of mailboxes.
Yes, very important. Yes. Right. Please highlight a little bit more about that. Who does that and how does it need to be done?
I think, so one is, once you set up these mailboxes also have to have the reputation of sending out emails, why they should get delivered, why these mailboxes are the right ones, right? So there is a process of building that trust, and there are a couple of warm-up providers that kind of offer this service, which is mailboxes interact with each other, kind of build the trust and kind of, tell ESPs that we are legitimate mailbox. So there are all of the sequencer tools come with built-in warm-up providers, warm-up services.
And so does Reachinbox,
so does
which is
Reachinbox,
your product?
Yes.
Okay. Not Zapmail, because Zapmail is only the infra.
Zapmail is the cold email infra.
The $39 that we are, using for the 30 inbox infra that we have bought. You're saying that Reachinbox is going to take care of the warm up. How long does it take for these 30 inboxes to warm up?
We normally recommend about 3 to 4 weeks of warm up.
So about a month that we wait after buying these domains, and it does the job, right?
Yes.
It's an automation. Okay, fantastic. Now, how many emails after the warm up's been done? And
Up to
how
the
would we know that it's warmed up?
3 to 4 weeks of warm-up time. You will also have each of the sequencer comes with a health score. So within sequences, you will see a health score for each mailbox. Any mailbox which has lower than 90% health score, I would recommend keep it on for warm-ups.
Less than 90%?
Less than 90%.
Keep it on for warm-up.
Keep it on for. And for the rest, I think once your lead list is set up on Clay, you can export it as a CSV, or you can directly connect it to one of your sequencers, and then start. I would recommend not crossing 10 emails per mailbox per day.
Wow. This used to be 20, and you just mentioned to me that it's
This
10.
used to be 100.
Wow. So 10 mails per inbox every single day. So we're talking about 300 emails, right?
Emails a day, and on working days probably, so 20 to 300.
On working days. Okay, yeah, because people open emails on working days. We'll go deeper into this, but is that a good enough number? Because when we were talking about this, you showed a number that you get a reply, one reply out of 167 emails. So what you are suggesting is possibly every single day we're going to see 2 replies, give or take.
Yeah.
Right?
Starting off, I think 2 replies. So it's also about how many leads can you manage, right? If you're starting off a business, you don't want to have 20 replies a day because you have the capability to service them. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the size of your business, what you're looking at. So if you're looking at, so that's why I always say maybe you should back calculate the number of emails to be sent based on number of leads you can manage.
Yeah.
If I have a sales team of 10 people and I know that each of my guys can manage 5 leads a day, then I'm talking 50 leads a day that I need.
Yeah.
So 50 into 200 is what you're talking of as an email service, as the outbound requirement.
Yeah.
Right? So
Because it depends on if you're going to take a demo, if it's a PLG, or a self-serve. So it depends on the product that we are talking about. But no, fair number, 2 replies. Is that, in your experience, is that domain agnostic? Like if I'm a lawyer service versus a B2B SaaS for, let's say, large companies, am I going to see?
Of course, it's an average number. It really depends on what your offer is and what is the cost of your offer and so on. So if you're only selling to, Fortune 100 companies, for example, I don't think you're going to get that number at all. That number drops to maybe 1 reply in 600 emails or 700 emails, right? Because then the person replying is also different. The size of the reply is different.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So let's kind of now take the next step. We have set up the infra, we are firing emails, we've warmed up the domain. 10 emails is your recommendation. We have connected, I think people can buy the service that they're buying in the mailboxes. It's Gmail mailboxes that we are getting through Zapmail infra, right? I mean,
you can buy either Gmail or Microsoft, and you can do a mix of these mailboxes. So you can buy probably 30 Gmail, 10 Microsoft, depending on. So there's a reason to that. What we've seen is there is a slight improvement in the reply rates when it's Outlook to Outlook and Gmail to Gmail.
Oh wow, that's a great insight. So you're saying that if somebody is sitting on the other side on a Microsoft server, it's going to respond well to Microsoft. So that you have better chances.
So within Reachinbox, there's a feature which allows you to click and say that, okay, use Microsoft mailboxes to send to Microsoft recipients, Google mailboxes to send to Google recipients. So it maps and manages everything automatically and figures out what service provider your recipient is using and use the same mailbox accordingly. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next big puzzle, that everybody frowns upon. One of the big issues with email people talk about is that now email providers are saying every single email that you're sending has to be different. Like you can't have a template that just changes the name to say, when it comes to both of us, it can't be hi Alan and then you change it with hi Kenner. It's going to go into the spam inbox, right? And you mentioned that if you do that 3 or 4 times, you burn the domain.
Yeah, 11th, most often what we've seen is the 10th or 11th email starts giving you a message blocked.
I think this is such a revelation. I don't think people know about this. So what's the playbook there? Like how am I customizing 300 emails every single day and everybody is getting a different message? Because I will have some paragraph that I'm not going to rewrite for every email. Absolutely. So I think there are 2 parts over here. One is the part of personalizing an email relevant to your audience. Like yesterday, I had a very interesting conversation with one of the
participants here, which was she was running a design agency.
Yeah.
And she was telling me, Alan, I've done outbound and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. LinkedIn definitely doesn't work, and email doesn't work. And I said, yeah, but what is the outbound that you did? And she said, I'm a design service provider, so I just have to send out emails to anybody who has a website. And I say that, okay, I know that I can do this better. I can offer a free audit in continuation to like I mentioned, provide value. So she said, I'm already providing value. I'm offering a free audit, but yet nobody responds. I said, yes, because you're using the same message one, and there are 100 design service providers like you who have seen the same template mentioned by somebody, and everybody's offering the same free audit. But if you improvise, take one step back. What you do is use a screenshot API.
Screenshot API.
So you get screenshot APIs. Go to use a screenshot API, enter the URL, it will give you a screenshot of the website. Now pass this on a GPT API and tell me that the top 3 things that you can do better on this website. And now hyper personalize and send this out to the same audience. Your reply rate, if it is less than 5-10%, I can guarantee you that then I will also come and tell you that outbound is not working. Offer that value. Now your audience is seeing that, okay, this person has actually gone to my website and they've already offered me some advice, and they're saying they'll offer me even more advice. This is where personalization comes in. Smart personalization.
Wow. Now, this is great. Like I get what you're doing, but this is not applicable to every single company that we'll speak about. Let's go to a lawyer's case,
Yes.
right? Now, I know you have this GPT installed in your brain to create these outbound customizations, but we need a solution because everybody listening to us would have a different business. So let's talk about a couple of cases and let's hear your LLM reply to that. Now, this girl is running a design agency, fantastic solution. Let's talk about a company that's offering, if we want to simplify, let's say that's a fringe case. Maybe let's pick an example for somebody who's here. Design services for like a video production.
Design services.
Video production.
Video production.
Yeah,
Yes.
video production.
Yes. So I mean, if you're looking at video production, what could you do on video production? I mean, you can't put me on the spot.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I know you have a GPT installed. It's going to throw up something.
So on video production, I would then talk about their. You can then put out a script, right? I mean, let's say I'm talking to somebody. Let's say I'm talking to a SaaS founder, and my audience then becomes SaaS founders, right?
Yeah, you'll have to pick an ICP. Let's say the video production company has picked that they are going to offer the video production to SaaS
founders, right? Let's say I'm talking to SaaS founders, and then I talk about the product, and then there are 2 ways to this. One is you either go with a competitor kind of approach, saying that I saw this competitor had launched a video like this, which drove up their, which added so much to their revenue. And here is a quick.
See, I knew you have a GPT. Now, this is great, and I could run it in the Clay table and run an enrichment for people who don't know what an enrichment is. I'll pass a command to Clay table that read the name of the company, find out its competitor, refer to the competitor in the mail body, and through the steps, Clay is going to give me a unique script with the competitor name and the formula that just was suggested to me. You know what, Alan? I think we really need a custom GPT for doing this because believe me, like people who are in different domains, I think they are going to use this, and I think we should, maybe jam on that and build this custom GPT because this is where people get stuck.
Yeah.
The idea is fantastic. That's first email that we'll be able to customize based on, I get a hang of how you're thinking. You're trying to be different. What's
always try to be different, because always try to understand that like you, there are at least 20 providers who are reaching out to the same audience, because access to data has become easier, cheaper, and everybody knows the same set of tools. Go on LinkedIn, you'll find 20 people who are talking of the same playbook.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to try to do the same thing. So you have to understand how is it that you're going to differently hit your audience? What is the value that they can see in you? And how do they know that you've put real effort in what you've done? Right? Because real effort is always rewarded. I mean, that's the only thing. Understand, don't be lazy in outbound. Lazy outbound fails, honestly. So
if we were following the Clay playbook, I think I get it. Every mail in those 300 emails can be different, but I'll have to sequence it out. I think the same 300 people will have to the next day or in 2 days later. Now, let's talk about the next step in the mail, in the process. Now, we have sent those 300 emails and I'm going to get some replies. And I believe Reachinbox is going to build that sequence that, okay, if somebody replies, I then take it over manually and I'm going to reply. But if somebody doesn't reply, when I'm building this fork in the if and but like sequencer, what do I do? What's your suggestion?
Of course, I think the key is in the follow-ups, right? So you have to follow up. Nobody is going to reply in the first instance.
How many follow-up?
I would recommend to limit it to maximum of 3 to 4.
3 to 4 over a period of?
Over a period of a month.
For a month.
Yeah.
Now that's another insight, because I would have possibly blown up my 4 follow-ups in 7 to 8 days, and that's what I think we had tried once. So you're saying space them out in a month. Give me some duration gaps.
I'm not month. It comes to 3 weeks, because what we've seen working well is first email, 5 working days after that, second email,
Okay.
4 working days after that, third email,
Okay.
3 working days after that is the breakup email.
Breakup email. Yeah, that's a good one. And you had given an insight. The breakup emails, often get brilliant responses if you've written it well.
If you've written it well, and if you've been creepy about it, then you get the spam button as well. But I think if you've written it well, the breakup email somehow triggers some FOMO that this person is not going to write to me again. So
I tested this. I have some investor conversions that I had done with the breakup email, and I'll tell you what I used to write. So my title line was, there is a thin line. That's the subject line. There is a thin line, and then the mail body would start, between annoyance and consistency. I might have followed up too many times and I will not reach out to you again. I'm sorry if I've done that. And, this is the last email and stuff like that. I would get like almost everybody who was sleeping to at least either say no to me or to say yes. And I had converted one investor who had said, okay, let's meet up. I really like, the way you've kind of followed up. So no, I get it. The breakup email could be a game changer. Is there a hack to writing these quirky ones? Because let me tell you, there is a thin line. This was I'd picked it up from somebody's playbook that I'd seen somewhere. So I just used it as is. Now, is there a place that we could go to on Zapmail, so we are going to build that, academy piece that we spoke about, but I think people need to have maybe a list of 20, 30 such examples, which we can maybe tweak a little bit, alter a little bit, and, we just can them and, optimize to our use case. So 4 emails, 3 weeks, brilliant. Wouldn't you get spammed by the 298 people that didn't respond? How many of them will mark me as spam because they didn't reply and I bothered them?
No, so I mean, that's what it is. So I think, of course, that's where the split across domains and the mailbox is helpful. The spam threshold right now is at 0.3%, which means if 3 people in 1,000 emails marks you as spam, your domain gets burnt, right? So it is on you about how you're going to ensure that people are not going to mark you as spam.
Out of 1,000, would you also recommend that we pray to God before clicking send every time? Because I think it does seem like we need some luck there, right?
There's this one more beautiful tool that I recommend a lot to our users, which is Twain. Twain.
How do you spell it?
TWAIN.
Okay, Twain. What does it do?
Twain helps you in personalizing the follow-ups as well. It of course helps you in personalizing.
It's a writing tool.
It's a writing tool.
Like Jasper.
Yes, but this is more for cold outreach with more research.
Twain.
Yes.
Okay.
So it helps you in getting the context of the first email. It of course helps you in writing a very beautiful first email, and then it also personalizes the second, third, and fourth email. So not only is the first email personalized, what a mistake that a lot of people do in outbound is that they spend a lot of effort on the first email, and then there is lazy follow-ups. I just want to follow up and just want to do a quick check. Have you seen my email? Just want to see if, people understand that this is automated, right? Put an effort on the follow-up emails as well. Personalize the follow-up email. Personalize the follow-up email with some recent activity, right?
Yeah. So maybe get Clay to read your latest post.
Yes.
comment on, and for those watching us who don't know, Clay has this capability. You could just go and read LinkedIn and tell Clay that, okay, now combine this with my context, engineer an email with this kind of a language.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, I think I get it why you recommend Clay, because I have tried Zapier tables to do this. I have tried Make on Google Sheets. Nothing works. In fact, not as good as Clay. Actually, almost every other tool breaks here except Clay. So no, I think great suggestion. Don't be lazy on the second one. And I think I'm guilty of that too. I think usually the second and the third emails that I had sent, even to investors, were usual, following up again. I think I was getting creative in the breakup email, and that's where I saw a spike. But I think great suggestion. So I think it's forming a picture. One of the things that we have to do and look at is, I think we also need a list or a document, or a cheat sheet where we want to see maybe 20, 30 campaigns that you believe worked really well, for people to just get accustomed to, the way some of the finest writers and mail creators, and I think you've been, at so many campaigns, you possibly have done hundreds, to see which ones worked. Because I'm sure we can see a pattern there.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be our after the pod activity that we're going to work on. So sequencer, I think we've lined this up. Now, when we were talking and you showed some brilliant workflows, let's expand the playbook. You showed some amazing stuff where you combined LinkedIn outreach with this effort on email. So just before we jump there, my question is, have I forgotten any piece out of this email playbook? Is there anything else that we need to consider?
I think nothing much on the email playbook, of course, but like you rightly said, I think it is always a combination of a multi-channel approach that works best. Like I always believe, it's the magic trio of LinkedIn plus email plus ads.
Ads.
Yes.
Before we go there, I have
Yes.
one piece that I think we missed. Now, I had run a campaign for about 25, 30,000 people, and I ran the entire list through debounds.
Yes.
Now, my question for those listening to us, debounds helps you. This was a new thing to me as well. So I figured that there are spam traps, dead email, catch all. There are so many things that you have to clean up out of that list. Is that important with the Clay workflow that we just suggested to people? If yes, please elaborate how.
So that's why I recommend Clay, because when you do these things with the other lists that you get from other regular sources, you will find a lot of these spam traps and all of that, because that's scrape data. Right. So with Clay, what they do is they have a waterfall enrichment option, wherein they are kind of trying to guess emails, or they're kind of finding these emails at a real time level. So your spam traps are much lower in this case, because it's not scrape data. Spam traps or whatever.
And you're talking about the native list of what Clay offers you as lead.
So when you kind of figure out these things, all of this comes inbuilt within the list that you're finding. So your verification happens directly over there. If you want for double confirmation, you can still run it through a email verification service like
And you have one, right?
Yes, we have Mail Verify.
Okay, so that's a tool that we could use. I think we're going to find, for everybody listening to us, some kind of a bundle pricing or something that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we work for all these tools that at least we have in the the Zapmail family. So you're saying that if we want to double verify, use Mail Verify. Otherwise, Clay would have the list cleaned up already.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need to act on it.
The data that they give normally already has gone through these verification layers, and then you can double verify with a provider like Mail Verify or any of these guys, and then send it out.
I was told that you got to do that every time, or maybe every 15 days when you run a new campaign. It might sound heavy to people listening to us, but that's what it is, right? I mean, that's why I said God is in the detail. It
is because also that people move jobs, people have DNS record breaks, something happens.
Yes.
And at that point, if you're doing a outbound to many people, and your mail and your bounce rate goes above 1%, suddenly your email service provider thinks that, okay, these guys are spamming.
Okay. So 0.3 for spam, 1% for bounce. Mail verification, I think, is a non-negotiable. I think we would rather save ourselves and, kind of get that done. All right. Now let's move to the trio. You mentioned the magic happens when emailing's combined with LinkedIn, and ads. Let's jump into the first piece of this. In this whole sequence of finding these mailboxes, running this through ICP, how and when do we connect LinkedIn?
So I would say that, what we've seen in the workflows that works really well is you start off with a LinkedIn request.
Okay.
And then you,
at what point? So I send those 300 emails. Now, do I send LinkedIn request to all 300 alongside?
I would say before your email, send a LinkedIn request.
Okay, that's a good one. And that's a separate science. We're going to go into the deep, but let's look at the broad. Let's just build the big Lego blocks here.
Yes.
So send a request even before you're sending those emails. So we need an automation tool where we are sequencing the first 300 people in the list. And I think we can orchestrate this through the Clay table. So Clay tells first one platform, which is, again, your recommendation would be Harry.
Reach is an amazing.
Had Vuk on the pod, the CMO for Hey. Brilliant tool. We use it extensively. What you're saying, sequence it from Clay, get a recommendation, engine sorted based on who's your ICP. And before you send the email, send an invite to everybody on LinkedIn. And I think you're going to need multiple LinkedIn accounts to do that. What's the limit there and how do we go about it?
Yeah, I think you would, I think each account can send about 80 requests a week. That's what I was told. I'm not very sure about
So
the
Reach caps it at 40, but they let you begin with about 15 or 20 if the age of the account is over 6 months.
Got it.
But you've got to control it. I mean, I've seen that though Reach controls the actions, but you can still burn the account, and we burned few accounts.
So I think that's what you would need multiple accounts to achieve this. I think you can definitely use your team, or there would be there are providers who kind of help you hire outreach executives.
So I think LinkedIn has a playbook pretty much like the emailing methods that we spoke about. So if I want to send all of the 300 people that I'm going to send cold emails to a LinkedIn invite, Reach is the best tool. How many accounts? I know that I have to connect a lot because, there's a limit of 15, 30, 40 requests a day based on, how old the account is. So what's your recommendation? Any particular playbook that we should follow?
I think, so there are enough accounts that you would need to connect because due to the limitations, and there are providers who could help you hire some people who could, do this outreach on your behalf. There are vendors out there, and happy to kind of share some of these in the with you so that you can put it in the description and so on.
Yeah.
But the idea is, and there was a recruitment, a global recruitment agency which did this very beautifully. So what they did was they hired hundreds of people in the South Asian region, and they kind of built out a persona, used their LinkedIn profiles to do outreach, connection request plus outreach, and then with that same persona, emails and follow-ups, and then personalized ads, right? Worked brilliantly. Worked brilliantly to the point that I think they added 50 or 60 million in ARR just with this model. LinkedIn plus email plus ads.
Okay, everybody's intrigued. I think we need to double down on this and make sure we get every piece of this playbook right. So when you're talking about the number of accounts, we get it that there are providers, there are agencies, and I think you are coming up with a product later this month or next month where, you might offer a solution to solve some pieces out of this.
Yeah.
Right now, when we are trying to solve this, you are suggesting that we should add as many accounts as possible of employees, or if there are agencies or extended, platforms that could offer us a solution here. You're saying our goal should be that the LinkedIn infra, the quantum has to match with the email infra quantum, because
absolutely, because your quantity of LinkedIn outreach is significantly lower than email, right? So if your one profile can do an outreach to 20 people then a week, then you're talking of 4 outreaches per day, per working day, right? So then you're talking that you need.
I'll open this again. I think because what you just mentioned, the reason for you to say that is because when I send 100 requests, only 50 get accepted.
Correct.
That's the math. So I'm just opening it up. So if I want 50 people to get, like out of those 300, when I send those 300 requests, only 150 are
will
going
get
to
yes
accept it.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to need double the number of accounts, and it's way tougher to get LinkedIn accounts than it is for email, right?
Yes, because then you need to hire that person, right? Who has
Yeah.
to, because the right way to do it is you need to get a person who will do this outreach for you, or hire that person. But that is the thing that gives you maximum conversions. Not that standalone email doesn't give you those conversions. Standalone emails is the best way to do outbound at scale. But for businesses which have a larger ACV, and I recommend the trio only for businesses which have a larger ACV.
How large?
Maybe anywhere upward of $25,000 and above
A year.
a year.
Okay,
Right.
so you suggest all three for those guys.
For those guys.
Why are
otherwise,
you linking? Yeah, why are you linking it with
yes,
ACV?
because the scale required for lower ACV is much higher than the scale required for higher ACV, right? Your scale of lower ACV. So, for example, if I'm a business that is at a ACV of 5,000, then for me to reach a 25 million kind of ARR, I need 5,000 customers. But if I am a business of 25, I just need 1,000 customers. So your outbound, your scale significantly reduces. So, like I said earlier, you have to back calculate what is the scale that I need, what are the metrics that I need, right? Based on the outcomes that I'm desiring.
Yes. No, makes sense. I think ACV calculations are a good meter. And I know that Zapmail, from a ticket size perspective, I won't ask what's the ACV that you get, because you'll have people who have like 5 email inboxes or 20 or 30 to larger ones as well. But I think we all get the reason for connecting the trio. So let's double down on LinkedIn. Now, we have sent the first email campaign, and we had sent everybody a request to connect. What's the next step in this sequence?
Yeah. So normally what happens after you send a connection request, data says, and I was speaking to the guys at HeyReach, I think data says about 55% or 60% is what your acceptance rates are looking like right now.
Yeah, that's round about right.
And then the next step would be to kind of start interacting with their posts, right?
Yeah.
Start interacting, get them to see, okay, there's this guy at Zapmail who's always, liking and commenting. Oh, what is this, right? Then this guy at Zapmail is also sending them an email.
Yeah. And let me highlight here, because I think this is a very intricate science.
Right.
HeyReach can automate a like.
Yes.
It can also automate a follow. It doesn't do a comment well right now.
Yeah.
There are very few automation tools that do the commenting right. And if they do, it looks cringe and it doesn't get the best result.
It doesn't get, yes. Yeah.
So
that's something that you have to be very careful about in terms of what you're automating, to what extent, and what is the prompts that you're giving for automation as well.
Absolutely.
Right, because it can backfire very quickly, right? I've seen a lot of LinkedIn comments where the person actually responds by saying, "Was this GPT written?" Right, and then it
you're creating a bad word out there, right? You don't want to be looked at like that.
Yeah.
So if I kind of ask you what's worked the best, the automation on HeyReach stops at likes and follows.
Follows, and
the profile as well. I think the third one I missed is that you can also simulate a profile open, like a visit.
Basically, what you're trying to do is get in front of your target audience.
Yeah. Know that this email came.
Yes.
I've seen
this guy on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen this guy is pretty active. I've seen him somewhere. I've also seen their ads. Maybe let me respond. Familiarity builds trust, which builds reply rates. So always familiarity, trust, and reply rates, all of them work in correlation.
So I have an interesting question here, and come to think of, only out of 300, 150 people accepted the request. Would you recommend that even before I send the email, I run an ad for all 300, so they've seen me before they get the first email?
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting angle also. Yeah, it might be a great way to test it out, but like everything, run multiple tests. You don't know what will work for which audience.
Would you recommend doing this?
It's a great idea. Yes.
Do it on Insta, LinkedIn. Where do I go?
Do it on Google. Do it on Google because that's where
that follows you on every website. Yeah, that's brilliant. YouTube or Google, or just do Perfmax. Perfmax could show it everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if I choose Perfmax, for people who are listening to us, Perfmax kind of is across Google inventory, is across their ad network.
Absolutely.
So I think a great idea. Now these ads are comparatively cheaper because I'm not driving a click through. All I'm doing is just showing them a display ad with my name.
CPM, yes. You're doing a CPM
Okay.
and you're doing it to a custom audience or to the audience that you're already doing outreach.
These are called lookalike campaigns, right? I mean, I'm uploading a list
These are custom
of
audience, yeah.
custom audience. So I mean, again, for marketeers who know this, I am uploading a list of these emails to Google, and I can do this programmatically through Clay as well, like integrate the API, pass on every time before I show them, send them the emails, these ads, and you might have another recommendation too as well there, but show them an ad, send them a request, and I am then sure that almost everybody has seen my brand name somewhere.
Absolutely.
So there is a sync.
Absolutely.
What's next? Now I send the email, right?
Yes.
How do you, I know I'm tiring you with these
No.
incessant detailed questions, but I know, I mean, this is how we'll be able to execute this.
True.
So the next step is we've run the first follow-up. What do we do after that? How do we leverage the trio?
Yeah, so even after the first follow-up, right, then you're still constantly opening their profile, liking their posts, all of that stuff. That has not stopped in between those 5 days gap. Those 5 days gap that you have. So you have a 5-day, 4-day gap. In between that, you're still interacting with their posts.
Okay.
Right. And then your ads are still running. So ensure that your actions are on, right? Keep on having these actions between, LinkedIn, email, ads. Some actions should keep on happening to maximize your reply rates.
Okay. So if I was doing all of this, I'll have to build a make agent or a NA10 agent to kind of orchestrate all of this, because I'll have to give an exit to people who have taken a certain action, right? I mean, if somebody has replied to me, I then don't want to show them an ad, though the cost would not be that much because, we are using a custom audience. You can
use two tools as well in sync, because then you can use the webhook functionality of these tools to pass a webhook as soon as reply received to either from Reachinbox to HeyReach or HeyReach to Reachinbox. So you can do that on either of the platforms. And then based on the webhook, you can unsubscribe the user in one of the platforms. So, not necessarily need to, get into a technical setup with NA10 or anything like that. Of course, NA10 can give you great flexibility and amazing, control over the entire process.
But what I'm going to do for our listeners, I have a make agent that has exactly this workflow built. So if you receive a response on email, you unsubscribe them on, HeyReach. If you kind of get a reply on HeyReach, you unsubscribe them on email. So they don't feel like, okay, this guy is probably using an automation. It's a super important step, because
absolutely,
you don't want them to feel like you've, made this robotic.
We have seen a lot of our customers failing at this step, and then there's an interesting thing where one of these people lost a customer. Someone who had converted went away because they realized that, it was not
painful. Painful. So I'll drop in the JSON script for this make automation that we have built. And in fact, this was also given away by HeyReach in multiple of their webinars. So in fact, it's available on the HeyReach platform for make, not for NA10, because HeyReach has just launched with NA10. They've been working with make for a much longer time. Okay, brilliant. So we've kind of used the trio now in this way. Anywhere else where you use signals or conversions? I mean, we've run this sequencer. Anywhere you see that, I mean, I have multiple questions around the TAM, around, how do I reach out more people? How do I scrape certain lists? Let's say we are trying to scrape the list of people who use Magento or certain other platforms. What are multiple methods that you're going to suggest that, we use?
Of course, for technology lists, I think BuiltWith has a great...
BuiltWith?
Yes.
Okay.
There's BuiltWith, there's, I think, Vaplizer, which is also good, but I think BuiltWith is the standard which most people use.
Okay.
Which gives you a list of all of the domains that are using a particular technology.
All right.
You want to target all of the people using Intercom, for example, to understand, okay, you can figure out who are these people. We want to figure out who are the people who with Shopify. You can figure out all of these things.
with built with.
With built with.
Is there a specific playbook, or if I just kind of went on to built with, I can
You just go to built with and get your list in place. Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's get into this another question that we've kind of seen come up many a times. If my audience only lives in, let's say, Estonia or London, or let's say UK or Saudi Arabia, how would you recommend, what steps do I change in and what ways?
There are no steps to change as long as your audience is a business, right? If you're
Mhm.
reaching out to a business with a legitimate business proposition, which might be of interest to them, then there is no challenge. But if you're reaching out with something which is completely irrelevant to their business and they live in EU, then that triggers GDPR.
Oh yeah, EU
Uh,
has.
yeah.
So are you suggesting that we keep EU out of our outreach?
I'm suggesting that you just do relevant outreach because
And we can do it.
you can do it with EU as well. I mean, there is no
Yeah.
reason to keep them out of the list or do anything like that as long as you're doing a legitimate
Nope.
outreach. For example, if you're sending out so say you're reaching out to uh, maybe a car dealer
Hmm.
in EU and you're offering him startup services.
Okay.
That is irrelevant, right? I mean, then that kind of might trigger a
So I think this is such a brilliant point. So what you're essentially recommending, and what I can see here, correct me if I'm wrong, build the clay list well. And in clay, when you do enrichment, I mean, for people who don't know what enrichment is, when you build these rules across table, you can give clay table a command that leave everybody out or include only the people who live in Saudi or the region that I want to reach. And you can hyper target a region based on that, right? The other great example, I don't know if it was you, but I'd come across this a couple of days ago. Like if I am targeting physical businesses like restaurants, I can use scrappers that give me Google Maps data or Google business data, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
I mean, Google Maps, there are some scrapers. So API5 is a great
Appify, which is available inside Zapier, Make, Anit, and I've seen that.
Yes.
You can build workflows. I'm jumping onto the question of the Appify. So Appify is also available inside Clay. If I think
yes, I think, but they're definitely available. In fact, they're having a meetup this weekend, tomorrow. Yeah,
in SF.
in SF.
Oh wow!
Appify and N8N are doing a meetup together tomorrow. Happy to kind of,
Yeah.
if anyone is interested, I can kind of put you on the guest list there.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. So we'll do that. I have a few more questions. Google Maps, I think you mentioned now. There is a question around if there are businesses that are physical versus just online. I think Google Maps is the best method. But a lot of questions come around if I'm launching a new product or a service. Do I still use the same infra to reach out to, let's say, non-members of people who haven't subscribed to my emailing? So I'm using your cold infra. I mean, reaching out to them, which I have scraped from Google Maps.
Yeah.
But would I use the same infra for people who have already subscribed? And you mentioned that you've done that a few times.
Yeah. So this is very interesting. So we built a sequence to send out when somebody unsubscribes from our product. Right?
Churn. Yeah.
Churn.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to understand what happened. Why did he churn? Getting no replies at all. And I thought, what kind of people we have? Nobody is responding, and all of that stuff. Only to realize that these emails are going in the promotions tabs. So people would never even receive those emails.
Okay.
Right? Either they're going to promotions or sometimes they're going into spam.
Okay.
Right? So people are not receiving these emails. So then what we did was we flipped to our infra. We started using cold email infra for sending to warm people who are already using our services.
Oh, wow.
And our reply rates went to the roof, right? We had then everybody who's there that, it's not a problem with your service, our client has shared, so they've asked us to discontinue, whatever. Earlier, we didn't have any visibility into what was happening. But then eventually we got to know people started replying. So this was something that we started using across our products for even sending out product updates, for sending out anything. And it started working brilliantly because now the product updates started going into the inbox and people started seeing it as a much more personalized thing.
Why did that happen? I mean, are you saying if I'm using, let's say, a MailChimp or a SendGrid infra, that kind of lands up in the promotion while the cold one.
Of course. It is meant to land. That's the whole idea of the promotions tab, right? That it should not mix with your inbox, which is it does Google does not want these kind of newsletters to come into your inbox.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you put it as important and unless you mark it as something important, it doesn't come to
From
your
future, I want them in my mailbox.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is great. I think we've covered a lot of ground. Now I want to kind of double down on the question around writing these emails. You also mentioned that they should be super short. Like you shouldn't kind of talk about too much in these emails, and you should give away stuff. So let's kind of know or understand a little bit about what you've seen works and what is this thought around short emails.
Yeah, so I think most emails are consumed on email on mobile, right? On your phones. Not more than 1.5 scroll on your phone, because attention span is,
scroll.
So attention span is only here. And then if I see I have to read more, then I close. Right? Because
brilliant insight. So 1.5 scroll is the max. And you're saying even the first mail, the second sequence of follow-up, the third, every single email has to follow the 1.5 scroll.
Yes. Because people have that attention span, and automatically we have a block saying, okay, if there's something more to read, let me put it for later. Let me read it later.
Yeah.
Right? But if you can consume it in this much, somebody might just say, oh, let me know more. Tell me more.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't have to do anything. He just press reply. Google will auto suggest whatever things have to be replied.
Yeah.
He can click a button and it's done. This is how you get your responses.
There shouldn't be a URL in the email.
There should be no URLs, no attachments.
No attachments. Keep them super short, no attachments. You also spoke about, can they be TXT or HTML is okay, because people get confused about that.
Plain text only.
But plain text does not get read in a sequencer. Now, I've been told that unless it's an HTML plain text email. So plain text, there's one email which is no markup. Like it's just plain TXT, and it doesn't even send a signal that it's been read.
You shouldn't also check for open rates. I would suggest don't check for open rates at all. Let's
get on to this question around, if there is no attachment, if there is no URL, how are we giving value
in text?
You wrote a fantastic email, your SPF is broken, let us fix it.
Yeah.
How did you give value in that email? Elaborate.
Because we reached out and we told users about something that would affect their business, right? Very clear, short pain point, telling a user that this is something that's broken. Maybe this is something I can help you fix, right? So that's something that you would want to kind of look at. What is a critical pain point for your target audience? That's something you have to figure out. And like I see that, cybersecurity guys use this, if they use built with to find out all the WordPress websites, and almost all WordPress websites have a broken code, which kind of can be fixed very easily. So cybersecurity guys go and send that out to all the WordPress guys, saying, listen, this is not patched. If you fix this, might be that, this will be helpful for you.
Okay.
So that kind of gets anybody to reply, right? Yeah. I know that my business is at risk. Why will I not reply? Like I told you about the earlier example of, giving 3 pointers about the website for a design agency.
Yes. And you can customize it for everybody. So when you wrote that email about SPF is broken, you did not send them to a different URL, to book a demo, book a meeting.
Nothing.
What is the CTA then?
CTA is, would you like me to fix it? The person replies, yes.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. So would you like me to fix it in text? And you are inviting a reply. Yeah. You're inviting a response, and that's it. There's not a URL. There's not a redirect. Nothing there.
Nothing.
Wow. Wonderful. So question around, when we want to layer, let's say, deeper value, like a white paper, a cheat code, a cheat sheet. So should I just write like, would you like me to send it to you?
Yes.
Okay. There is the answer. If I have recorded, let's say this, we've been talking for last hour plus, one hour plus. And if we were using this as a magnet, we are only going to ask people, we have recorded an extensive behind the scenes, never done before session. Would you like me to send it, right?
Yes, that's it. Do I have the permission to,
would you like me to? I have seen those emails. Would you like me to send it to you?
Absolutely. Because you're saying that this is covered. Do you want to know more? If yes, I can send this.
Solves it. All right. Okay. So Alan, we've spoken about the trio. We have spoken about the entire playbook around writing, HeyReach, Clay, running ads. Anything that you would suggest that we missed out, or any don'ts and do's that you would have in mind that you feel are critical to success here?
I think first thing is ensure that your lead list is fine. I see a lot of people making mistakes with their lead list. Everybody, almost every new person in the outbound space goes with the easiest route, which is taking up an Apollo subscription, downloading leads, and sending out emails to them, right? Most likely, there is a very high chance that these leads are outdated, or these leads are invalid, or something else.
Yeah.
So this is a common mistake that I see.
Yeah.
Where people, so goes back to the thing that lazy outbound is dead.
Lazy outbound is dead. That's
Right.
such a great quote. I think that should be like a subtitle here. But there's another great hack that you possibly haven't tried yet. So I did a podcast with Max Mitchum from Trigify. Now, Trigify does a fantastic signaling on people talking about something that you are connected with. So let's just say you built intent signals on every time somebody comments, posts on a certain thing, you bring them into your Clay automatically, and they get an email and they see. So you put them in your sequence as soon as they spoke about a problem.
I spoke about it yesterday, right? Did you?
You mentioned about
the comment
to Captera people,
people who like and comment on your post, and on people who
you mentioned Phantom Buster. That would be a great hack as well. So what Trigify also does is that you could have like thought leaders section on, and put them in your Clay, so that building your list.
Trigify is a great one. Trigify is a really good one, which definitely can be used to identify people who speak in your space, and figure out who are the people who are commenting, liking, because you also see a lot of people putting out lead magnets there.
Yes.
Right. In your own space, and then that lead magnet list is now available. Right.
Yeah.
So enrich that list, and that's where your first. So it's not really very difficult to get your first 100, 200 customers just using outbound through these channels, right? How easy it has become to build stuff, it's also become equally easy to get your customers now.
First one saying that, because people keep saying it's super easy to build. Distribution is the moat, and it's not easy to distribute anymore.
I don't think so. I think distribution definitely is the moat. It will always remain the moat because your flywheel will continue with the value that you're offering. So you have to build, have the right value, and then distribute and ensure virality is built into your product to get that flywheel running. That is the moat, not getting your first 100 customers, right? Because after your first 100 customers also you can fall flat if your entire loop is not built in properly.
Wow. No, and I think that's a beautiful comment to close the conversation on. You're never there, right? I think you have to constantly evolve. And like you said, I loved what you mentioned, that it's always an experiment.
Absolutely.
And I think with that, thank you so much for giving us all the time. We appreciate it. I know you're super busy in SF, and you're flying high. You took out time for this. Really appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure.